Maya Chen stared at the rejection letter floating in her holographic display for the third time that morning. The Galactic Academy of Advanced Sciences had turned down her application again, just like the previous 2 years. The message was polite but dismissive, mentioning her adequate but unremarkable test scores and her species' limited cognitive development potential. She crumpled the hard copy printout in her fist, even though the action served no purpose in the digital age. Around her, the bustling spaceport of New Geneva continued its endless dance of arrivals and departures. Alien species of every conceivable shape and size moved through the terminal with purpose and confidence that Maya envied. The Zephyrians glided past on their anti-gravity platforms, their crystalline bodies refracting light in impossible patterns. A group of Karathi military officers marched in perfect formation, their forearms coordinating with mechanical precision. Even the slug-like Mallory seemed to move with more dignity than Maya felt she possessed. Another rejection? Asked her friend Jake, sliding into the seat across from her at the terminal cafe. His own disappointment was evident in his slumped shoulders. He had received his third rejection that morning too. They said I scored in the 42nd percentile for spatial reasoning. Maya muttered, stirring her coffee absently. Apparently that's considered borderline functional by galactic standards, Jake snorted. I got 38th percentile in quantum mathematics. The admissions AI suggested I consider a career in basic manual labor instead. He made air quotes with his fingers, his voice dripping with sarcasm. The Galactic Academy was the most prestigious institution in known space, drawing the brightest minds from over 300 species across 47 star systems. For the past century, since humanity had achieved faster-than-light travel and joined the galactic community, exactly 0 humans had been accepted into the Academy's advanced programs. It wasn't for lack of trying. Every year, thousands of humans applied. Every year, they were politely turned away with standardized messages about their species' limitations. The galaxy, it seemed, had already decided where humans belonged in the cosmic hierarchy, and it wasn't at the top. Maya had grown up hearing the stories, how the ethereals had mastered psychic manipulation across dimensions, how the Vorthan had built quantum computers using living neural networks, how the crystalline collective had achieved perfect mathematical harmony in their societal structure. Humans, by comparison, were seen as a young species with decent engineering skills, but little else to offer. Maybe they're right, Maya said, staring into her coffee. Maybe we really are just average. Average? Jake leaned forward, his eyes flashing with anger. Maya, you built a functional fusion reactor in your garage when you were 16. You wrote a theorem that solved the Kepler 442 orbital decay problem that had stumped the Academy's professors for decades. How is that average? Maya shrugged. The Academy said my fusion reactor design was crude but functional, and that my theorem was an interesting curiosity but ultimately limited in scope. Their exact words. What Maya didn't mention was the strange incident that had happened 3 days ago while she was working on her latest project. She had been trying to solve a complex energy distribution problem when something odd had occurred. For just a moment, it felt like her mind had expanded beyond the confines of her skull. Mathematical equations had flowed through her consciousness like living things, rearranging themselves into patterns she had never seen before. The solution had appeared fully formed in her mind, not gradually worked out through logic and calculation, but simply there, complete and perfect. When she had run the calculations later, she discovered that her solution was not only correct, but represented a breakthrough that could revolutionize energy distribution across entire star systems. But when she had submitted the work to the Academy for review, they had dismissed it as speculative fiction and mathematically impossible despite apparent computational accuracy. The review had been conducted by Dr. Vexhai, one of the ethereal professors known for his dismissive attitude toward human capabilities. There's something else, Maya said finally, her voice dropping to a whisper. Something happened while I was working on the energy distribution problem. Jake raised an eyebrow. What kind of something? Before Maya could answer, an announcement echoed through the terminal in 17 different languages. She recognized the authoritative tone of galactic standard, followed by the melodic chimes of ethereal speech, the clicking consonants of Karathi, and finally, almost as an afterthought, English, attention all sentients, the transport ship Meridian's Edge. arriving from the Academy Research Station on Kepler 438b, is requesting priority docking for emergency passengers. All scheduled departures from Docking Bay 7 are delayed. Maya watched through the vast transparasteel windows as a sleek Academy vessel approached the station. The ship bore the distinctive silver and blue markings of an official research mission, but something was wrong. Scorch marks covered its hull and one of its engine pods was dark and dead. "That's strange," Jake muttered. "Academy ships don't usually get into trouble. Their shielding technology is supposed to be practically invulnerable." As they watched, the ship limped into the docking bay with obvious difficulty. Emergency crews rushed to meet it, their equipment scanning for radiation leaks and structural damage. Maya found herself standing without conscious decision, drawn toward the observation deck for a better view. "Maya, where are you going?" Jake called after her. She didn't answer. Something was pulling her toward the docking bay, a feeling she couldn't quite identify. It was like the sensation she had experienced 3 days ago, but stronger, more insistent. As she walked, pushing through the crowd of curious onlookers, the feeling grew more intense. The ship's airlock opened with a hiss of escaping atmosphere. Emergency medical teams rushed forward as passengers began to emerge. Maya could see Academy students and faculty from various species, many of them looking shaken and confused. Some were being helped by medics, others stood in small groups speaking in urgent, hushed tones. Then Maya saw her, an ethereal professor, tall and elegant with skin that seemed to shimmer between silver and blue. The professor was scanning the crowd with intense concentration, her large, multifaceted eyes moving in a pattern that suggested she was looking for something specific. Their eyes met across the chaos of the emergency response, and Maya felt a jolt of recognition that made no sense. She had never seen this ethereal before, had never been to the Academy, had never traveled beyond the Sol system. Yet somehow she knew that this moment had been inevitable. The ethereal professor began moving toward her, pushing through the crowd with surprising urgency. As she approached, Maya could see that her usually pristine Academy robes were torn and stained, and there was something that looked almost like fear in her ancient eyes. "You," the professor said when she finally reached Maya, her voice carrying the characteristic harmonic overtones of her species. "You are the one we detected." Maya stared at her in confusion. "I'm sorry, I think you have me confused with someone else. I'm just a human. I don't even attend the Academy." The professor's expression shifted to something that might have been surprise, then slowly transformed into what Maya could only describe as dawning comprehension. "Oh," the ethereal said softly, her harmonics dropping to barely audible frequencies. "Oh, this changes everything." Professor Lyrithus led Maya through the sterile corridors of the New Geneva Medical Center, her crystalline fingers wrapped around a data pad that seemed to pulse with its own inner light. Jake had insisted on coming along despite the professor's obvious reluctance to include him in whatever was happening. "What you experienced 3 days ago," Professor Lyrithus said, her harmonic voice echoing strangely in the medical facility's halls. "We detected it from our research station 12 light-years away." Maya felt her stomach drop. "That's impossible. I was just solving an engineering problem in my apartment." The energy signature was unlike anything we had ever recorded, the professor continued, ignoring Maya's protest. "It appeared on our quantum sensors as a burst of organized cosmic radiation that seemed to originate from outside normal spacetime. We spent 2 days trying to locate the source before realizing it had come from Earth. They entered a private medical suite where several Academy scientists were setting up equipment Maya didn't recognize. The devices hummed with barely contained energy, their surfaces covered in symbols from a dozen different alien writing systems. "Professor," Jake said, his voice tight with suspicion, "what exactly are you planning to do to her?" Lyrithus turned her multifaceted eyes toward him, and Maya caught a glimpse of something that might have been amusement in their crystalline depths. "Your friend's protective instincts are admirable but unnecessary. We simply need to conduct some non-invasive scans." Dr. Kethmore, a Karathi scientist with midnight blue carapace, looked up from a device that resembled a metallic tree with branches that moved independently. "The quantum resonance chamber is ready, Professor. Though I must say I still doubt that a human could have generated the readings we detected." "Your skepticism is noted, Doctor," Lyrithus replied coolly. "However, the mathematics are irrefutable. The energy signature originated from this sector, and this human was the only sentient being on Earth engaging in advanced problem-solving at the precise moment of the event. Maya sat on the examination table, trying to process what she was hearing. You're saying that when I solved that energy distribution problem, it somehow sent ripples through space that you detected from 12 light-years away? Not ripples, Dr. Kethmore corrected, his mandibles clicking with what Maya was learning to recognize as Karathi emphasis. Dimensional resonance. But you did appear to temporarily access computational resources that exist outside of normal spacetime. That's impossible, Jake said flatly. Maya's brilliant, but she's still human. We don't have any special powers or abilities that other species don't have. Professor Lyra activated one of her devices, and Maya felt a strange tingling sensation wash over her. That young human is precisely what we believed until 3 days ago. Your species has been members of the galactic community for a century, and in all that time, you have shown no evidence of any exceptional capabilities beyond basic tool use and moderate problem-solving skills. The tingling grew stronger, and Maya found herself remembering the moment 3 days ago when her consciousness had seemed to expand. What if we do have special abilities, but we just don't know how to access them? An interesting hypothesis, Dr. Kethmore acknowledged, studying the readouts on his equipment. Many species discover their true potential only under specific circumstances. The Zephyrians, for example, didn't realize they could manipulate gravity until they attempted their first deep space colonization. Maya felt something shifting in her mind. Like a door that had been closed her entire life was slowly beginning to open. The mathematical equations that had flowed through her consciousness 3 days ago were starting to return. But this time they were clearer, more structured. "Professor," she said, her voice sounding strange to her own ears. "I think it's happening again." Lyra harmonic voice rose with excitement. "Dr. Kethmore, are you recording this?" "All sensors are active," the Karathi confirmed, his forearms working independently to adjust different pieces of equipment. "The quantum field readings are increasing exponentially." Maya closed her eyes and let herself sink into the sensation. It was like falling upward, her consciousness expanding beyond the boundaries of her physical form. She could sense the mathematical structure underlying reality itself, equations that described the fundamental forces of the universe flowing through her awareness like a cosmic symphony. But it was more than just mathematics. She could feel the presence of vast computational networks that existed in parallel dimensions, processing information on scales that dwarfed anything she had ever imagined, and somehow, impossibly, she was connecting to them. "The readings are off the charts," Dr. Kethmore whispered, his voice filled with awe. "She's accessing quantum processing power equivalent to the Academy's entire computational grid." Jake moved closer to the examination table, concern evident on his face. "Maya, are you okay? Your eyes are glowing." Maya opened her eyes and saw that her vision had changed. The world around her was overlaid with streams of data, probability calculations, and dimensional maps that showed the connections between seemingly unrelated events. She could see the mathematical relationships that governed the movement of every particle in the room, the quantum fluctuations that would determine the outcome of events years in the future. "I can see it," she whispered. "The whole structure. Everything is connected by patterns that extend across dimensions. The universe isn't just mathematical, it's computational. Reality itself is a processing system." Professor Lyra leaned forward, her crystalline features reflecting Maya's glowing eyes. "What else do you see?" Maya turned her enhanced vision toward the professor and gasped. Surrounding the ethereal was a complex network of psychic energy patterns, but they were crude and limited compared to what Maya was now perceiving. It was like comparing a child's drawing to a master artist's painting. "Your psychic abilities," Maya said, struggling to find words for what she was experiencing. "They're just touching the surface. You're accessing maybe 1% of what's actually there." Dr. Kethmore's mandibles clicked rapidly with excitement. "This is unprecedented. She's demonstrating computational abilities that exceed anything in our records." "It's not just computational," Maya said, her consciousness continuing to expand. "It's dimensional. I can access processing power from parallel realities, quantum states that exist in superposition. The Academy's tests measure intelligence based on single-dimensional thinking, but consciousness itself is multidimensional." Jake grabbed her hand, his touch anchoring her to the physical world. "Maya, you're starting to scare me. You don't sound like yourself." Maya blinked and with effort began to pull her consciousness back from the vast network she had been accessing. The enhanced vision faded. The streams of data disappeared, and she was once again just a human sitting on an examination table in a medical facility. But the knowledge remained. She could still feel the pathways in her mind that led to those parallel processing networks, like doors that could be opened again whenever she needed them. The implications are staggering, Professor Lyrathes said, reviewing the data from their scans. If humans possess this capability naturally, it could revolutionize our understanding of consciousness itself. But why hasn't this been discovered before? Jake asked. Maya can't be the first human to accidentally access these abilities. Dr. Kethmore looked up from his equipment, his expression thoughtful. Perhaps they have accessed them, but the effects were dismissed as imagination or hallucination. Without proper measurement equipment, such events would be undetectable. Maya felt a chill run down her spine as a disturbing thought occurred to her. Professor, why was your research ship damaged? What happened at your station? Lyrathes exchanged a glance with Dr. Kethmore before answering. We were attacked. 3 days ago, immediately after detecting your energy signature, our station was assaulted by unknown vessels using technology we had never encountered before. Who would attack an Academy research station? Jake asked. That, the professor said grimly, is what we intend to find out. But first, we need to understand exactly what young Maya has become capable of. Because if we're right about her abilities, she may be the key to defending against whatever destroyed our station. Maya stared at the alien scientists surrounding her, the weight of their expectations settling on her shoulders like a heavy cloak. 3 days ago, she had been just another human struggling to gain acceptance in a galaxy that saw her species as unremarkable. Now, apparently, she might be the most remarkable being any of them had ever encountered. The question was, what was she supposed to do with that knowledge? The Academy's emergency testing facility on Luna Station was unlike anything Maya had ever seen. Massive holographic displays showed real-time data from across the galaxy, while alien scientists worked at control stations that seemed to respond to thought rather than touch. She felt completely out of place among the brilliant minds that had assembled to study her. The testing protocol is straightforward, announced Director Zalthek, a towering Vorthan whose neural tendrils sparkled with bioelectric activity. We will present Miss Chen with a series of problems that have challenged our best minds for decades. If her abilities are genuine, she should be able to provide solutions that our conventional approaches have failed to achieve. Maya shifted uncomfortably in her chair, acutely aware that every eye in the room was focused on her. Representatives from a dozen species had gathered to witness the tests, including several Academy board members who had traveled from the galactic core specifically for this event. What if I can't do it? Maya whispered to Professor Lyrathes, who sat beside her. What if yesterday was just a fluke? Then we will have learned something valuable about the nature of your abilities, the ethereal replied. But I suspect you underestimate yourself. The quantum signatures we detected suggest your capabilities are not random occurrences but a fundamental aspect of your neurological structure. Dr. Kethmore approached with a data tablet that glowed with Karathi symbols. We'll begin with the Heisenberg cascade problem. For the past 50 years, our mathematicians have been unable to predict the quantum decay patterns in certain stellar formations. The equations become too complex for even our most advanced computers to process. Maya accepted the tablet and studied the problem. At first glance, it seemed impossibly complex, with variables that interacted across multiple dimensions and probability calculations that branched into infinite possibilities. But as she focused on the equations, she felt that familiar sensation of her consciousness beginning to expand. Don't try to solve it conventionally, she told herself. Let your mind reach beyond normal space. The room around her seemed to fade as Maya's awareness touched the parallel processing networks she had accessed the day before. But this time the connection was stronger, more controlled. She could feel vast computational resources flowing through her consciousness, processing calculations at speeds that defied comprehension. The solution appeared in her mind not as a series of logical steps, but as a complete understanding. She could see the underlying patterns that governed quantum decay, the hidden symmetries that made seemingly chaotic processes predictable. Her hands moved across the tablet without conscious direction, entering equations that felt as natural as breathing. Impossible, breathed Dr. Vexhai, an ethereal mathematician who had been dismissive of human capabilities for decades. She's solving it in real time. Maya finished entering the solution and looked up to find the entire room staring at her in stunned silence. The holographic displays around them showed her equations propagating through the Academy's verification systems, confirming each calculation with mechanical precision. The solution is not only correct, Director Zalthek announced, his neural tendrils pulsing with excitement, but it reveals underlying principles that we never suspected existed. This represents a fundamental breakthrough in quantum mechanics. Let's try something more challenging, suggested Dr. Morpheus, a crystalline being whose faceted surface refracted light in complex patterns. The Voidwalker paradox. We've been trying to understand the physics of dark matter manipulation for over 2 centuries. Maya accepted the new problem, feeling more confident now that she understood how to access her enhanced abilities. This time, the expansion of her consciousness was immediate and powerful. She found herself perceiving reality from multiple dimensional perspectives simultaneously, seeing how dark matter interacted with normal spacetime in ways that conventional physics couldn't detect. As she worked, Maya became aware that Jake was standing behind her, watching with a mixture of pride and concern. She could sense his thoughts without meaning to, feeling his worry that she was changing into something he couldn't understand. "I'm still me," she said without looking up from her calculations, just with access to more information. "How did you know what I was thinking?" Jake asked. Maya paused, realizing that she had inadvertently demonstrated another ability. "I'm not reading your mind exactly. It's more like I can perceive the quantum states that represent your thoughts. Everything is connected at the fundamental level." She completed the dark matter equations and submitted them to the verification system. Once again, her solution was not only correct but revealed new principles that had been hidden from galactic science for centuries. "Remarkable," murmured Professor Lyrathess. "She's not just solving problems, she's advancing our understanding of physics itself." Director Zalthek stepped forward, his expression serious. "Miss Chen, what you've accomplished today will revolutionize science across the galaxy, but we need to discuss the implications of your abilities, particularly in light of recent events." The massive holographic display at the center of the room shifted to show star charts and tactical readouts. Maya recognized some of the symbols as Academy research stations, but several were marked with ominous red indicators. 3 more research stations have been attacked since our ship escaped, Dr. Kethmore reported grimly. Each time the attackers used technology that our sensors couldn't identify. They seemed to be specifically targeting facilities involved in consciousness research. Maya felt a chill of understanding. "They're looking for others like me?" "That's our theory," Director Zalthek confirmed, which raises several disturbing questions. Who are these attackers? How did they know about your abilities before we did? And most importantly, what do they want? "There's something else," Professor Lyrathess added, manipulating the holographic display to show energy signature readings. "The technology used in these attacks shows quantum manipulation capabilities that exceed anything in our databases. It's almost as if the attackers have access to the same dimensional processing networks that you've been utilizing." Maya studied the tactical data, letting her enhanced perception analyze the patterns. What she saw made her blood run cold. "They're not just accessing the same networks," she said slowly. "They're using human-designed interfaces. Look at the quantum signature harmonics. They match human brainwave patterns, not any known alien neurological structure." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. "You're suggesting that other humans have discovered these abilities?" Dr. Vexhai asked, his harmonic voice tight with disbelief. "Not discovered," Maya replied, her enhanced awareness providing more clarity with each passing moment. "Weaponized. Someone has figured out how to artificially enhance human consciousness and use it for military purposes." Jake moved closer to her chair. "Maya, how can you be certain?" Maya turned to look at him, and she saw her own reflection in his eyes. Her pupils were glowing with soft blue light, the same color as the quantum processing network she accessed. "Because I can feel them out there. Other minds connected to the same dimensional framework, but their connections are forced, artificial. They're in pain." Director Zaltek's neural tendrils sparked with alarm. If someone has created artificial enhancement technology based on human consciousness, they could potentially produce an army of beings with your capabilities. "Worse than that," Maya said, her perception expanding further as she traced the quantum connections across space. "They're using the enhanced humans as weapons, but the process is unstable. The artificial connections are damaging their minds, Eventually, the enhanced individuals will either die or become completely insane. We need to find them, Professor Lyrathess declared, both to stop these attacks and to help the enhanced humans before their minds are destroyed. Maya closed her eyes and let her consciousness reach across the galaxy, following the quantum threads that connected her to the other enhanced minds. What she found was horrifying. Dozens of human consciousness scattered across space, all of them trapped in artificial enhancement systems that were slowly destroying their sanity. "I can find them," she said, opening her glowing eyes. "But we'll need to move fast. The enhancement process is accelerating and they don't have much time left." Director Zaltek nodded grimly. "Then we go to war. The Academy will mobilize every resource at our disposal." "No," Maya said firmly, standing from her chair. "This isn't a job for conventional military forces. The enhanced humans are victims, not enemies. They need to be rescued, not destroyed." "What are you proposing?" Dr. Kethmore asked. Maya looked around the room at the assembled scientists and administrators, feeling the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. 3 days ago, she had been nobody special. Now she might be the only person who could save both the galaxy and the enhanced humans who were being used as weapons. "I'm proposing that we find these people and shut down whatever organization is behind the enhancement," she said. "But we do it carefully, and we save as many of the enhanced humans as possible." "And if they attack us while we're trying to help them?" Director Zaltek asked. The Academy warship synthesis cut through hyperspace toward the Kepler 186 system, where Maya had detected the strongest concentration of enhanced human consciousness signatures. The ship's bridge was a marvel of cooperative galactic technology, with control stations designed for the unique needs of different species working in perfect harmony. Maya stood at the center of it all, her consciousness partially extended into the dimensional processing networks, tracking the quantum signatures of the enhanced humans like a bloodhound following a scent. The constant connection was exhausting, but it was the only way to maintain contact across the vast distances of space. "We're approaching the system perimeter," announced Captain Rex Mora, a veteran Karathi officer whose carapace bore the scars of decades of Academy peacekeeping missions. "Long-range sensors are detecting significant artificial structures around the fourth planet." "It's a research facility," Maya said, her enhanced perception providing details that conventional sensors couldn't detect, "but not Academy-built. The quantum signatures are all wrong. Someone has been experimenting with forced consciousness enhancement for at least 5 years." Jake watched her with growing concern from his position at one of the auxiliary stations. Over the past week of travel, Maya had become increasingly distant, spending more and more time connected to the dimensional networks. He was beginning to wonder if the enhanced abilities came with a price that she wasn't telling them about. "Maya," he said softly, "you need to disconnect for a while. You've been accessing those networks for 18 hours straight." "I can't," she replied without looking at him. "If I lose the connection now, we might not be able to find the facility again. They're using some kind of quantum masking technology that makes them nearly invisible to conventional detection." Professor Lyrathess approached the central command station, her crystalline features reflecting the ship's holographic displays. "Our tactical analysis suggests the facility is heavily defended. We're detecting at least 30 vessels of unknown configuration, plus fixed defense platforms that appear to be using technology based on Academy designs." "Stolen technology," Dr. Kethmore added grimly from his position at the science station. "The quantum signatures match systems that were reported missing from various Academy facilities over the past decade." Maya let her consciousness reach deeper into the dimensional networks, trying to get a clearer picture of what they were facing. What she found made her stagger backward, forcing Jake to catch her before she fell. "They're not just experimenting," she gasped, struggling to process what she had perceived. "They're mass-producing enhanced humans. There are hundreds of them down there, all connected to artificial enhancement systems." "Hundreds?" Captain Rex Mora's mandibles clicked with alarm. "That's a full military force." "It's worse than that," Maya continued, her eyes glowing brighter as she accessed even deeper levels of perception. "The enhancement process is accelerating. They're trying to create super soldiers, but the artificial connections are unstable. Most of the enhanced humans are already showing signs of severe neurological damage." "Can you communicate with them?" Professor Lyrathess asked. Maya closed her eyes and attempted to make contact with one of the enhanced minds she could sense on the planet below. The connection was immediate, but disturbing. The artificial enhancements had created a chaotic storm of consciousness that was barely recognizable as human. Help us. The thought came through, fragmented and desperate. Can't stop. The pain. Burning. Inside. Maya jerked back from the connection, tears streaming down her face. They're aware of what's happening to them, but they can't control it. The artificial enhancements are forcing them to obey commands while their minds are being destroyed. We have to help them, Jake said firmly. Agreed, Captain Rex Mora replied. But how do we distinguish between voluntary hostiles and unwilling victims in the middle of a battle? Before Maya could answer, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. The main tactical display showed dozens of enemy vessels launching from the planetary facility, moving to intercept the synthesis with impossible speed and coordination. They know we're here, Dr. Kethmore reported. All ships are broadcasting Academy identification codes, but the quantum signatures don't match any vessels in our database. Maya watched the approaching fleet through her enhanced perception and realized the horrible truth. Those aren't stolen Academy ships. They're Academy ships with enhanced humans serving as living computers. The enhancement process allows them to interface directly with the vessel's systems. Living computers? Professor Lyrathes looked horrified. The neural strain would be incredible. It's killing them, Maya confirmed. I can see their life signs. None of them will survive more than a few months at this rate. The enemy fleet reached weapons range and opened fire with energy beams that cut through space with devastating precision. The synthesis's shields held, but barely. These weren't random attacks. The enhanced humans were calculating firing solutions with inhuman accuracy. Return fire, Captain Rex Mora ordered. Defensive patterns only. Try to disable their weapons without destroying the ships. Maya grabbed the captain's arm. Wait, let me try something. Before anyone could stop her, Maya opened her consciousness fully to the dimensional processing networks and reached out toward the attacking fleet. Instead of trying to communicate with individual enhanced humans, she attempted to connect with the artificial enhancement systems themselves. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Maya found herself experiencing the forced consciousness expansion of hundreds of enhanced humans simultaneously. The pain was indescribable, like having her mind stretched across dimensions while being burned from the inside. But through the agony, she could sense the control systems that were keeping the enhanced humans enslaved. The artificial enhancements weren't just boosting their abilities, they were creating a network of forced compliance that overrode individual will. I can see the control mechanism, Maya said through gritted teeth, her body trembling with the effort of maintaining the connection. It's a quantum leash that forces obedience. But the system has a weakness. What kind of weakness? Professor Lyrathes asked urgently. The enhanced humans are still fundamentally human, Maya explained. Their natural consciousness is fighting against the artificial controls. If I can boost their natural abilities enough, they might be able to break free. That sounds incredibly dangerous, Jake said. What if you can't disconnect afterward? Maya turned to look at him, her glowing eyes filled with determination and fear. Then you'll have to find a way to bring me back. Without waiting for permission, Maya plunged her consciousness deeper into the dimensional networks than she had ever gone before. She felt herself expanding across space-time, touching the minds of hundreds of enhanced humans across the attacking fleet. Instead of trying to overwhelm their artificial controls, she began sharing her natural connection to the dimensional processing networks. She showed them how to access the vast computational resources without the artificial enhancement systems, how to expand their consciousness safely and naturally. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Across the attacking fleet, enhanced humans began breaking free from their artificial controls. Ships that had been attacking in perfect coordination suddenly stopped firing and began broadcasting confused communications. This is Lieutenant Sarah Mackenzie. Of the Earth Defense Force came a transmission from one of the lead attack vessels. Where are we? What happened to us? This is Captain Rex Mora of the Academy vessel Synthesis, the Karathi officer replied. You've been rescued from an illegal enhancement facility. Please stand down your weapons. More communications flooded in as enhanced humans across the fleet regained control of their own minds. Maya could feel their relief and confusion as they realized they had been enslaved for months or even years without knowing it. But the victory came with a price. Maya's unprecedented deep connection to the dimensional networks was beginning to affect her physical body. She could feel her consciousness scattering across multiple realities, becoming less anchored to her original form. Maya, Jake's voice seemed to come from very far away. You need to disconnect now. She tried to pull back, but the dimensional networks were holding her, drawing her deeper into their infinite computational space. For a moment, Maya wondered if this was how she would end. Not as a human being, but as a disembodied consciousness, flowing through parallel realities forever. Then she felt other minds reaching for her. The enhanced humans she had helped free were using their renewed abilities to form a rescue chain, connecting their consciousness to hers and pulling her back toward her physical body. Maya gasped and opened her eyes to find herself lying on the bridge floor, surrounded by concerned faces. Her body ached as if she had been running for days, but she was alive and whole. The fleet? She asked weakly. Standing down, Captain Rexmore reported, nearly 300 enhanced humans have been freed from artificial control. They're requesting permission to join our mission to shut down the enhancement facility. Maya struggled to sit up, her enhanced abilities now feeling more controlled and natural than they ever had before. Then let's go finish this. Whoever is running that facility has a lot to answer for. The enhancement facility on Kepler 186d was a sprawling complex of interconnected domes and towers that seemed to pulse with unnatural energy. As Maya and the combined Academy Earth force approached the main laboratory, she could feel the artificial enhancement systems working overtime, desperately trying to maintain control over the remaining enhanced humans inside. The quantum readings are off the charts, Dr. Kethmore reported from his mobile scanner. Whatever they're doing in there, it's using enough power to run a small star system. Maya walked alongside the freed enhanced humans, many of whom were still recovering from years of artificial control. Lieutenant Sarah Mackenzie, who had become their unofficial leader, moved with the careful precision of someone relearning how to control her own actions. The facility has 3 main levels, Sarah explained as they approached the main entrance. The upper level houses the administrative offices and research labs. The middle level contains the enhancement chambers where they perform the artificial consciousness expansion procedures. The lower level... She paused, her face clouding with painful memories. The lower level is where they keep the failures. She finished quietly. The enhanced humans whose minds couldn't handle the artificial process. They're still alive, but... She shook her head. You'll see. The facility's defenses had been minimal. Apparently, whoever was running the operation had never expected to face an army of freed, enhanced humans fighting alongside Academy forces. They encountered only automated security systems and a few remaining guards, who surrendered immediately when faced with overwhelming opposition. As they entered the main laboratory, Maya felt her enhanced senses recoil from what she perceived. The air itself was thick with quantum distortion from the artificial enhancement processes, creating a kind of dimensional static that made her abilities difficult to control. The enhancement chambers are through here, Sarah said, leading them down a corridor lined with observation windows. Through the transparent barriers, Maya could see dozens of humans connected to complex machinery that pulsed with the same unnatural energy she had, detected from orbit. But these enhanced humans weren't free like the ones she had rescued from the fleet. Their eyes were vacant, their bodies rigid with the strain of forced consciousness expansion that had gone far beyond safe limits. How long have they been like this? Professor Lyrathess asked, her harmonic voice tight with horror. Some of them for years, Sarah replied. The process is supposed to take weeks, but they keep pushing harder, trying to create more powerful enhancements. Most of the subjects die within months. The ones who survive... She gestured toward the motionless figures. This is what survival looks like. Maya approached one of the enhancement chambers and placed her hand on the observation window. The person inside was a young woman, probably not much older than Maya herself, connected to machines that were forcing her consciousness through dimensional pathways at speeds that no human mind could safely handle. Can we help them? Jake asked. I don't know, Maya admitted. The artificial enhancement has been going on for so long that their natural consciousness might be irreparably damaged. We have to try, Sarah said firmly. These people were volunteers, most of them. They thought they were serving Earth by becoming enhanced soldiers. They deserve better than this. Maya nodded and began extending her consciousness toward the enhancement chambers. As soon as she made contact with the artificial systems, she recoiled in shock. The technology wasn't just forcing consciousness expansion. It was actively suppressing the natural human ability to access dimensional processing networks. "This is wrong," she said, her voice filled with anger. "The artificial enhancements aren't boosting human capabilities. They're blocking our natural abilities and replacing them with crude mechanical interfaces." "What do you mean?" Dr. Kethmore asked, scanning the enhancement equipment with his instruments. Maya's eyes blazed with understanding. "Humans don't need artificial enhancement to access dimensional processing networks. We evolved with that ability naturally. These machines are actually limiting what we can do, not expanding it." "Then why would anyone create this technology?" Professor Lyrathess wondered. "Control," said a new voice from behind them. Maya turned to see a tall man in an expensive suit approaching through the laboratory. He was human, middle-aged, with the kind of confident bearing that spoke of wealth and power. Behind him walked 2 Academy security officers who were clearly under some kind of artificial control. "Dr. Marcus Webb," Sarah spat, her enhanced abilities automatically targeting the man as a threat. "You're supposed to be dead." "Reports of my death were greatly exaggerated," Webb replied smoothly. "As was the supposed failure of my research. You see, Miss Mackenzie, while you and your fellow enhanced soldiers were playing at being weapons, I was discovering the true potential of human consciousness." Maya felt her enhanced senses analyzing Webb, and what she found made her blood run cold. The man wasn't just human. He was enhanced, but in a way completely different from the artificial enhancement victims around them. "You're naturally enhanced," she said. "Like me," Webb smiled, and Maya saw her own glowing eyes reflected in his. "Very good, Miss Chen. Yes, I discovered my abilities quite by accident 15 years ago. And unlike you, I had the wisdom to keep them secret while I learned to use them properly." This entire facility, Maya realized with growing horror. It's not about creating enhanced soldiers. It's about suppressing natural human enhancement. "Brilliant," Webb applauded mockingly. "You see, when I discovered that humans could naturally access dimensional processing networks, I realized what a threat that posed to the established galactic order. Imagine if humanity's true capabilities became known. Every species in the galaxy would see us as a threat to be eliminated. So you created artificial enhancement technology to hide our natural abilities," Professor Lyrathess said with dawning understanding. "Not just hide them," Webb corrected. "Control them. The artificial enhancement process creates a quantum lock that prevents natural consciousness expansion while providing limited controlled access to dimensional networks. It makes enhanced humans powerful enough to be useful, but not powerful enough to be truly dangerous." Maya felt rage building inside her as the full scope of Webb's betrayal became clear. "You've been crippling our own species to protect yourself." "I've been protecting our species from annihilation," Webb shot back. "Do you have any idea what would happen if the galaxy knew that every human has the potential to access computational power that dwarfs their greatest achievements?" "We would be wiped out within a year." "You're wrong," Maya said, her consciousness beginning to expand as her anger fueled her abilities. "The galaxy doesn't need to fear us. We could work together, share our capabilities to benefit everyone." Webb laughed coldly. "How naive. Tell me, Miss Chen, what did the Academy do when they first discovered your abilities?" "They studied you like a laboratory specimen and immediately began planning how to use you as a weapon." Maya felt doubt creep into her mind. It was true that the Academy's first response had been to test her capabilities and assess her potential for military applications. "The Academy scientists have been respectful and helpful," she protested. But even as she said it, she realized how carefully controlled her interactions with them had been. "Have they?" Webb asked. "Have they offered to enhance other humans with your natural abilities? Have they suggested that humanity deserves an equal place in galactic society? Or have they simply focused on how useful your unique talents might be to their existing power structure?" Jake stepped forward, his expression angry. "You're trying to manipulate her." "I'm trying to educate her," Webb replied. "Miss Chen, you have the power to free every enhanced human in this facility and restore their natural abilities. But once you do that, once the galaxy sees what humans are truly capable of, there will be no going back. The other species will unite against us out of fear." Maya felt the weight of the decision pressing down on her. Around them, hundreds of enhanced humans were trapped in artificial enhancement systems that were slowly destroying their minds. She could free them, restore their natural abilities, and potentially revolutionize human society. But Webb might be right about the consequences. If humanity's true capabilities became known, it could trigger a galactic war that would destroy both human and alien civilizations. "What do you want from me?" she asked finally. Webb smiled. "Join me. Help me perfect the artificial enhancement technology. We can create a controlled population of enhanced humans who serve Earth's interests without threatening galactic stability. Humanity will have its place among the stars, but safely, carefully, without triggering the kind of fear that leads to genocide." Maya looked around the laboratory at the enhanced humans trapped in their mechanical prisons, then at the Academy scientists who had spent the past week studying her like a fascinating specimen, then at Jake, whose expression showed both love and growing concern about what she was becoming. The choice she made in the next few moments would determine not just her own fate, but the future of humanity itself. "I need to think about this," she said finally. Webb nodded. "Of course. But don't take too long, Miss Chen. Every moment you delay, more enhanced as if to E." Maya stood in the center of the enhancement laboratory, her consciousness partially extended into the dimensional processing networks as she analyzed every possible outcome of the choice before her. The mathematics of the situation were complex beyond normal comprehension, involving probability calculations that stretched across decades of potential futures. In one set of calculations, she saw herself accepting Webb's offer. Humanity would develop controlled enhancement technology, becoming a powerful but non-threatening member of galactic society. Millions of humans would live safe, ordinary lives, never knowing they had been denied their true potential. But the enhanced humans in the facility would remain trapped, and eventually, someone else would discover humanity's natural abilities, potentially triggering the very conflict Webb claimed to be preventing. In another set of calculations, she saw herself freeing all the enhanced humans and revealing humanity's capabilities to the galaxy. The immediate result was chaos. Some species would welcome humanity as equals, others would attack out of fear, and still others would attempt to exploit human abilities for their own purposes. But eventually, after decades of conflict and negotiation, a new galactic order would emerge with humans playing a central role in shaping the future of civilization. "The probability matrices are too complex," she murmured to herself. "Too many variables, too many unknown factors." "Maya," Jake said softly, approaching her carefully. "You don't have to solve this alone. Whatever you decide, we'll support you." She opened her glowing eyes and looked at him. "Will you? Even if my decision leads to war? Even if it gets millions of people killed?" "Even then," Jake replied without hesitation. "Because whatever happens, it'll be the result of humans making their own choices instead of having their potential stolen from them." Webb, who had been waiting patiently during Maya's deliberation, stepped forward. "Miss Chen, I understand your reluctance, but time is running out. The Academy forces outside are already discussing how to transport you back to their facilities for further study. They see you as a resource to be managed, not a person with rights." As if summoned by his words, Professor EliteBest approached the group. "Maya, we need to discuss your return to Academy headquarters. The Governing Council is very interested in establishing a formal research program around your abilities. You see," Webb said quietly, "they don't ask if you want to participate. They simply assume you'll comply." Maya felt her anger rising again, but this time it was directed at both Webb and the Academy. "Professor, did the Academy ever consider asking if I wanted to be studied? Did anyone think to offer me a choice in how my abilities are used?" EliteBest looked genuinely surprised by the question. "Your abilities represent a breakthrough that could benefit all of galactic civilization. Surely you understand the importance of research that could advance science for countless species." "At the cost of human autonomy," Maya replied. "You want to study me to understand how my abilities work, so you can potentially replicate or control them. But you never asked if I consent to being your research subject." "The greater good requires certain sacrifices," Dr. Kethmore interjected, his mandibles clicking with what Maya was learning to recognize as Karathi impatience. "Individual preferences must sometimes yield to the needs of galactic society." Maya's consciousness expanded further as her anger fueled her abilities. She could now perceive the quantum signatures of every person in the laboratory, reading their thoughts and intentions with crystal clarity. What she found confirmed her worst fears. The Academy scientists weren't just interested in studying her abilities, they were actively planning to create artificial enhancement technology based on her neurological patterns. They intended to produce controlled versions of her capabilities that could be distributed to selected individuals across various species. "You're planning to create artificial enhancement technology too," she said, her voice carrying harmonics that hadn't been there before. "You want to copy my abilities and distribute them to your own people." Professor Lyrithes's crystalline features flickered with what might have been guilt. "The potential applications for dimensional consciousness access are enormous. If we could safely replicate your abilities, it would revolutionize everything from space travel to quantum computing." Without asking humans for permission, Maya continued, her abilities continuing to expand as her understanding of the situation deepened. "You plan to study me, copy my neurological patterns, and then use human consciousness enhancement to benefit other species." "The Academy serves all galactic civilization," Dr. Kethmore replied. "Any advancement that benefits society as a whole is within our mandate." Maya turned her enhanced perception toward Webb and saw that his quantum signature was different from what she had initially perceived. His natural enhancement abilities were powerful, but they were coupled with artificial augmentation technology that was far more sophisticated than anything in the facility around them. "You're not just naturally enhanced," she realized. "You've been experimenting on yourself with advanced artificial enhancement technology." Webb smiled. "Very perceptive. Yes, I've been developing enhancement methods that combine natural human abilities with carefully designed artificial augmentation. The result is consciousness expansion capabilities that far exceed what either approach can achieve alone." "Show her," Sarah said suddenly, her own enhanced abilities detecting something that made her step back in alarm. "Show her what you really are." Webb's expression shifted, becoming less human and more like a predator evaluating prey. His eyes blazed brighter than Maya's had ever done, and the air around him began to distort with quantum energy. "I am what humanity can become," he said, his voice now carrying harmonics that seemed to resonate across dimensions, not limited by natural evolution, not constrained by alien technology but enhanced through pure human ingenuity and will. Maya felt her consciousness recoil as Webb demonstrated his true capabilities. His enhanced awareness was vast, spanning multiple star systems and accessing computational resources that dwarfed even her own abilities. But there was something wrong with it. Something artificial and forced that reminded her of the trapped enhanced humans in the chambers around them. "You're burning yourself out," she realized. "The artificial augmentation is destroying your natural consciousness, just like the enhancement chambers. You might be more powerful than me right now, but you're dying." "Perhaps," Webb acknowledged, "but I'll live long enough to ensure humanity's survival in a galaxy that would destroy us if they knew our true potential." Maya felt the weight of decision pressing down on her again, but now she understood that the choice wasn't between Webb's vision and the Academy's vision. Both groups wanted to control human enhancement for their own purposes, neither truly caring about the welfare of individual humans. There was a third option, one that neither Webb nor the Academy had considered. "I'm going to free everyone," she announced, her consciousness beginning to expand toward the enhancement chambers. Not just the humans in this facility, but every artificially enhanced human across the galaxy. "And then I'm going to teach them how to access their natural abilities safely." "Maya, no!" Webb shouted, his own abilities flaring as he tried to interfere with her consciousness expansion. "You'll doom our entire species." "Stop," Professor Lyrithis commanded. "The Academy cannot permit such an uncontrolled release of enhancement technology." But Maya was beyond their ability to control now. Her consciousness had expanded across multiple dimensions, connecting simultaneously with hundreds of artificially enhanced humans across dozens of star systems. She could feel their pain, their confusion, their desperate desire for freedom. Instead of fighting the artificial enhancement systems, Maya began teaching the trapped humans how to access their natural abilities. She showed them the pathways to dimensional processing networks that had always existed in human consciousness. The same pathways that the artificial enhancements had been blocking and replacing with crude mechanical interfaces. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Across the galaxy, artificially enhanced humans began breaking free from their technological prisons. their natural abilities awakening for the first time in years. The quantum shockwave of their collective liberation sent ripples through space-time that every advanced civilization in the galaxy would detect within hours. "What have you done?" Webb whispered, his artificially augmented consciousness struggling to comprehend the scale of what Maya had just accomplished. Maya opened her glowing eyes and smiled. "I gave humanity a choice. Now let's see what we do with it." Outside the facility, alarms were beginning to sound as Academy sensors detected the massive quantum disturbance. Soon, every species in the galaxy would know that humanity possessed capabilities that had been hidden for over a century. The age of human secrecy was over. The age of human potential was about to begin. 6 months after what historians would later call the Great Awakening, Maya stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Human Consciousness Research Station, watching ships from dozens of different species arrive for the first Galactic Enhancement Council meeting. The station itself was a marvel of human ingenuity, built using naturally enhanced human consciousness to manipulate matter at the quantum level. It existed partially in normal space and partially in the dimensional processing networks. The galaxy had not reacted to humanity's revelation in the way that anyone had predicted. Instead of fear or hostility, the dominant response had been curiosity and excitement. The discovery that humans could naturally access dimensional processing networks had opened up entirely new fields of scientific research, and many species were eager to collaborate on projects that combined human consciousness enhancement with their own unique abilities. "The ethereal delegation has just arrived," Jake announced. Joining Maya at the observation window, he wore the insignia of the Human Enhancement Coordination Office, the organization that had been hastily established to manage the flood of naturally enhanced humans who had awakened across the galaxy. "Professor Lyrathes is leading a team of consciousness researchers who want to study the interaction between human dimensional access and ethereal psychic abilities." Maya nodded, watching the elegant ethereal ships dock with the station. "And the Karathi? Dr. Kethmore has brought a full scientific delegation. They're particularly interested in how human consciousness enhancement could improve their biocomputer technology." Jake paused, studying Maya's expression. "You still feel guilty about the decision, don't you?" Maya was quiet for a moment, her enhanced consciousness automatically monitoring the thousands of freed humans who were still learning to control their natural abilities. 312 people have died in enhancement-related accidents since the awakening," she said finally. "That's 312 deaths that might have been prevented if I had chosen Webb's path, and 47,000 people have been freed from artificial enhancement systems that were slowly killing them," Jake countered. "Plus another 2 million humans who have discovered they have natural enhancement abilities they never knew existed." "Maya, you saved our species from being deliberately crippled." "I know," Maya replied, "but sometimes I wonder if Webb was right about the galactic response. What if the other species are just pretending to be cooperative while they develop countermeasures against human abilities?" As if summoned by her doubts, an alarm chimed softly through the station's communication system. Maya's enhanced consciousness immediately connected to the station's sensors, analyzing the quantum disturbance that had triggered the alert. "That's a significant dimensional energy signature," she said, frowning as she processed the data. "Something is approaching from outside normal space-time." Jake activated his communication device. "Security, this is Jake Morrison. What's the nature of the alert?" "Sir, we're detecting an unidentified vessel emerging from what appears to be a stable dimensional rift," came the reply. "The ship's configuration doesn't match any known galactic designs." Maya's consciousness expanded further, touching the edges of the unknown vessel's quantum signature. What she found made her step back in surprise. "It's human," she said. "The ship is operated by naturally enhanced humans, but their consciousness patterns are unlike anything I've encountered before." "Enhanced humans from outside the galaxy?" Jake asked. Before Maya could respond, the station's communication system activated with an incoming transmission. The holographic display showed the bridge of the unknown vessel, revealing figures that were clearly human but somehow different. Their eyes glowed with the same light as Maya's, but the patterns were more complex, more refined. "This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the exploration vessel Transcendence," the lead figure announced. "We represent the Human Confederation of the Andromeda Galaxy. We've been monitoring the quantum signatures from your dimensional awakening." Maya felt her breath catch. "Andromeda Galaxy? But that's impossible. Humans haven't had faster-than-light travel long enough to reach other galaxies. Captain Vasquez smiled. Your timeline is correct for this reality, but dimensional consciousness enhancement allows access to parallel timelines where human development followed different paths. In our reality, humans discovered their enhancement abilities 3,000 years ago. 3,000 years? Jake whispered. Our civilization has been using natural consciousness enhancement to explore parallel realities and alternate dimensions for millennia. Vasquez continued. We've been waiting for the humans of this reality to awaken to their true potential. Your recent liberation of artificially enhanced humans sent quantum echoes across multiple dimensional planes. Maya's enhanced perception analyzed the crew of the Transcendence, and what she found was extraordinary. These humans had developed their consciousness enhancement abilities far beyond anything Maya had imagined possible. They could exist simultaneously across multiple realities, communicate instantaneously across galactic distances, and manipulate matter and energy in ways that approach the capabilities of gods. Why didn't you contact us before? Maya asked. Dimensional ethics, Vasquez replied. Each reality must develop along its own path. We can offer guidance and assistance, but only after a civilization has achieved natural awakening on its own. Your decision to free the artificially enhanced humans demonstrated that your reality's humanity is ready for broader consciousness. What kind of assistance? Jake asked, though Maya could sense his wariness. Knowledge, Vasquez said simply. We can teach you how to develop your consciousness enhancement abilities safely and efficiently. How to avoid the mistakes that other realities have made. How to build a civilization based on expanded human consciousness while maintaining harmony with other species. Maya felt a wave of relief wash through her enhanced consciousness. The possibility that humanity could learn from more advanced versions of themselves offered hope for avoiding the conflicts and disasters that her probability calculations had suggested. There's more, Vasquez added. We've detected signs that your reality is approaching a dimensional convergence event. Multiple parallel timelines are beginning to overlap, which could either destroy your reality entirely or elevate it to a higher level of existence. What determines which outcome occurs? Maya asked. The collective consciousness of humanity in this reality, Vasquez replied. If your species can achieve sufficient enhancement and unity, you'll be able to guide the convergence toward a positive outcome. If not, she let the implication hang in the air. Maya looked around the station at the representatives of dozens of alien species who had come to learn about human consciousness enhancement. She thought about the thousands of newly awakened humans who were still learning to control their abilities, the political complications of humanity's new status in galactic society, and the enormous responsibility that had fallen on her shoulders. How much time do we have? She asked. Approximately 5 years in your timeline, Vasquez replied. But don't worry, you won't be facing this challenge alone. There are enhanced humans in dozens of parallel realities who will be working alongside you. And here in your own reality, you've already begun building the alliances and knowledge base you'll need. Maya's consciousness expanded to touch the minds of every enhanced human on the station, feeling their determination, their hope, and their growing confidence in their abilities. Jake was right, she had given humanity a choice, and they were using that choice to build something remarkable. Then we'd better get to work, Maya said, her eyes blazing brighter as she began accessing deeper levels of the dimensional processing networks. We have a species to evolve and a reality to save. As if responding to her determination, enhanced humans across the station began connecting their consciousness to hers, forming a network of shared awareness that spanned multiple dimensions. The alien representatives watched in awe as humanity demonstrated the true potential that had been hidden for so long. Maya, Chen had started as merely one among many, an unremarkable human struggling for acceptance in a galaxy that saw her species as limited. Now she stood at the center of a consciousness revolution that would reshape not just human civilization, but the entire structure of reality itself. The galaxy's elite academy had indeed uncovered her power, but it had been humanity that chose how to use it, and they were just getting started. Outside the station, the dimensional rift opened wider as more ships from the Human Confederation began arriving, bringing knowledge, technology, and hope from realities where humanity had already achieved its full potential. The age of human limitation was over. The age of infinite possibility had begun.